Ebusian for more cover by a channel so a high daily update TV. Message and then I'll join more channel so I like video, no share video, no subscribe channel. Set a bear video be our bontin be a Zubenya let and announce when you be a an update I'm the Bramon is a Bawumia Akufo Addo and on the VAT as how to yin one den so and Caniano. Say electricity bill now 250 cedi as say would be back home as so turn be 70 cedi any other day because time I no more fanto so no cry no na insense mo ho dada na almost ade ababeto so no mu na NDC communicating director ede insem bi ebeto ho ebeto dwa intino mo de me yanko ne nkotie nsem na ode beto dwa no yakoba ebehu de aka ede de aka so.
Me, you are wasting your time. I can't help you. I can only listen to you. Well, but first of all, let me start with this first decision or to put VAT on electricity. Does it add up for you in any way?
So now let me say that this decision by this government to impose VAT 21.9% on electricity consumption shows again how insensitive this government is. So now since this government, assumed the reins of power, I could count that they have imposed more than 21 new taxes on the people of Ghana. At the time when inflation is high, the exchange rate is depreciating, the data shows that more people are unemployed in the history of our country than ever. Today, multinationals are folding up. We know of Game that has folded up. Many construction companies which hitherto would have employed our young people and engineers have folded up and they are leaving. And also in the face of the fact that this government has had more tax revenue than any government, it just shows you that this is the highest level of insensitivity. For them, it matters not what the people of Ghana are going through. As long as they have to raise revenue to finance their lavish lifestyle and increase expenditure, about half of which constitutes wastage as well, they would impose it. You know, sometimes I think the NPP government has come to the conclusion that Ghanaians would be persuaded on different lines, such as tribal lines, religious lines, and many other lines which are ancillary to making the lives of the people better than they came to meet it. And so they like to major in the minors, take the conversation away from the economy, the conditions of service, the standard of living of the people. And then anytime we have to do or we have to make a choice as Ghanaians, they bring up very irrelevant things for us to forget. And that's the reason why they've had the benefit of imposing 21.9%. So today, if we used to buy electricity for 100 cedis, you would be buying electricity close to 140 cedis for the same period. If you buy 500 cedis, you would have to be doing more than 600 cedis by reason of the fact that the NDC have imposed 21.9% of taxes on electricity. And the question is, why are we here? So now we are here because of the mismanagement of this government, the reckless borrowing, which made them go to the IMF in an ambulance. And so today the IMF is asking them that, irrespective of the excruciating hardship, irrespective of the fact that the people cannot currently afford the price of electricity, irrespective of the fact that many people do not even have employment. And even those who are employed, inflation has eaten away the major chunk of their salary. They just say that this is our conditionality and you have to comply. You remember that this government told us that the second tranche of the IMF bailout was supposed to come somewhere in November last year. As we speak today, they have not received the second tranche because they've not been able to meet some of the conditionality, such as negotiating with our external debtors. And so, whatever they have to do, down the consequences, they would have to do to get the fund to fund elections. And so, this one is a very painful discussion to have. That at a time when this government is a government that has benefited from more tax revenue than any government in the history of the Fourth Republic. At the time when this government has had more revenue combined by way of taxes, funds, revenue from other sources such as oil, this is also the government that has imposed more taxes and hardship and has mismanaged the country and the economy than any government in the history of the Fourth Republic. And so, in your listening, so that the next government can come and do better, and to make sure that the people of Ghana get the respite that they need. And it's a very sad situation. So now, for the first time since 2013, this is the first time that if you're a Ghanaian and you have to go and buy electricity, you have to pay VAT. This is not your fault. It is clearly because the government has mismanaged the economy. It is clearly because the government has misused funds which they have borrowed on presidential private jets. It is purely because this government has not invested in any capital expenditure that will be raking in revenue. The government has not done any productive thing to make sure that they alleviate the suffering of the people. For them, their easy way out anytime is how can we make the lives of the people worse than we came to meet it. And this VAT on electricity is just one of them. And so it's a very sad situation. At the time that people have lost their jobs, at the time that the high cost of living has swallowed people's quality lives, at the time when young people are just trooping out of this country because there is no hope for them and they cannot tell what next. This is terrible. This should not be countenanced. And I think that all Ghanaians should come together, not just the NDC speaking, for the government to see that enough is enough.
But clearly you think the timing is wrong and to impose a lot of suffering. But is it avoidable considering this where the government finds itself currently?
Oh, Sana, this is avoidable. This is avoidable because you see, if you look at the budget of this government from 2017, consistently the government has shown that it is only interested in consumption expenditure. So the government will increase its Office of Government Expenditure from 700 million from 2016 to 3.1 billion. And yet, the revenue you are expected to, accrue from these taxes are just about the same or even less. Let me give you a typical example. In the e-levy case, the government told that it's expecting to rake in 6 billion annually. At the time when your Office of Government Expenditure is above 3 billion. Not just that, the cost of corruption in this government over the time they've been there till 2022 exceeds 45 billion. And so if this government cuts the thievery, the corruption, the recklessness, the mismanagement, we should not be paying VAT. And so when you ask me whether it's avoidable, it is largely avoidable. If the government officials decide not to keep dollars under their bed, decide not to be keeping the hard-earned taxes that we pay in the most painful manner. Look at the waste. Anytime the Auditor General's reports come out, you want to get BP. Because the naked TV, look at how the COVID expenditures were mismanaged, sharing for party apparatchiki. And so it is avoidable. If this government wanted to avoid it, all they needed to do was to reduce the corruption, reduce the office of government expenditure, reduce the consumption expenditure, and say that let's also fasten the belt and give our people a bit of respite. At the time when you just introduce COVID levy, at the time when you just introduce a flat rate or you decouple the VAT from the NHIL and other levy where our tax or the VAT has gone up. You know, at the time when you are telling us that BOD has recorded 60.8 billion cedis by way of losses, and so indirectly, even the economy will shrink. And so where do you expect households, mothers, many young people who are living in single rooms and where do you expect them to get this 21.9% to make up for your revenue shortfall, which is as a result of your recklessness, mismanagement, and corruption? You don't treat your citizens the way the MPP treats Ghanaians. And sometimes, devoid of politics, this should not be encouraged. This is not done. And gradually, the MPP is giving every politician a bad name. And the earlier we speak about it, the better. Because now we all face existential threats. Because everybody will assume that, this is who politicians are. But we've lived in our country before, and we've seen that some politicians use our tax revenues for projects. This is a government that promised to move the economy from taxation to production and has ironically imposed more taxes than any government in the history of this country. Isn't the irony beautiful? And so it's a very sad situation, and this is not the only tax. If you read the 2024 budget, there are so many other taxes on cutleries, the exemptions which hitherto our farmers enjoy, this government has taken them away, and many more.
What do you think should happen?
I think what should happen is that we must all come together to tell the NPP government that it's about time we hold you accountable, that we will not countenance the consistent behavior of government mismanaging the funds of the country, and then anytime they have to do the right thing, they throw that burden back to us. I think that we have to come together and in one of the strongest terms, register our displeasure, put pressure on this government, exercise some civil disobedience to show to the government that enough is enough. We do not treat the people the way you treat the people of Ghana. The whole world, no country has introduced COVID levy. The whole world, except Ghana. Is Ghana the only country that experienced the COVID levy? I think that is not enough. Now we have to pay 21.9%, almost 22% on electricity consumption. And so let's come together. And this is where I'll call on civil society organizations, the churches, the clergy, the peace council, And anybody who is affected, that you cannot leave this fight for the NDC alone. Because this is not a partisan fight. This morning, when I go and buy the electricity, nobody is going to ask me for my party card. Nobody is going to ask me, who would you vote for? They would only ask for my money. And it is the same for our listeners who are listening this morning. So let's not do fight one NDC fight. This is a fight that all of us must get involved so that this government will know that enough is enough. Otherwise, trust me, in the media budget review, they will do worse.
Beatrice, thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
You're welcome.
Lawyer Lawyer Beatrice Annan, my very good friend. I'm pronouncing her name. She is a member of the NDC's communication team, member of the John Mahama campaign team. First, one, let me remind you of this. It's important to never joke with your eyesight. Your eyesight is very, very important. So if you have difficulties with your vision, you're having persistent headache, you're due for a new pair of glasses or lenses, go to Third Eye Care and Vision Center. Third Eye Care is your number one, your one-stop solution. No other place to go to. With their ultramodern equipments, watering optometrists and staff, they're going to show you of the best. They provide comprehensive eye care for people of all ages. They have in stock all kinds of spectacle lenses, spectacle frames, sunglasses, contact lenses, eye drops, among others. They also provide diagnostic tests such as eye pressure checking, photography of the eye, scanning of the back of the eye. They are also now a DVLA accredited eye examination center. You can find Third Eye Care at Northreach. They are on the premises of Sunny FM. Airport residential area. You can find them opposite Mirage Residence, close to Association International School. Call them on these numbers: 024 59 38 389 or 054 32 87 008. La
yo ene yin komo we so na fe yento adwumadie no eso edia na se ade a Tinated Herbal Center for edi no bebre ena aba na enrom de aba no mpa chutie womo edi Tinated VB drops aba na Tinated VB drops no ema abusua no siesie nipadua ni nyina ema ne yakama pa sanso ene support to immune system na ema na hodin ti yare bia na bi se ba nipadua ni mu a na enya hodin abosa yare no ato ba bi kura enti Tinated VB drops no aba obetimi enya bi ato sanso ena womo edi Tinated stomach mixture pacho odie no bloated stomach ana se sen netie wafuru na eden ayekapu indigestion ena di aba na ene pacho kone kope Tinated stomach mixture ebeboa pa womo san edi Tinated Eftone Forte syrup pacho Tinated Eftone Forte syrup no say odie no periodic menstrual pain oba bosome so na obunsa na wokofichire a na ye esu eni amanihunu nkuto eni empacho quickly ko ne kope Tinated Eftone Forte syrup ni bi ebeboa pa womo asan Tinated Venicare aba na Tinated Venicare no